Hey everyone, thanks for checking out part 2 of today's lesson. You're about to watch a short video on the Lend Lease Act, an American law passed in early 1941 that allowed the United States to more directly help countries like Britain and China prior to our outright engagement in World War II. What I would like you to pay special attention to is the effects of the Lend Lease Act. Said another way, what happened after the law was passed as it pertains to World War II. As you look at the map on your screen, you will see a half-completed multi-flow map. When completing multi-flow maps, we are seeking to identify cause and effect. I have included the causes, which you will see in the first part of the video. Some of the causes of the Lend Lease Act being signed included Britain not only coming close to bankruptcy in their fight against the Nazis, but also them running low on military capacity. They were left to fight Germany alone, as France had already been defeated by Nazi Germany. The US also feared what would happen if the Nazis continued to advance and crush European democracy. Lastly, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt desperately wanted to help Britain, but was totally incapable of helping due to the restrictive Neutrality Acts, which you'll hear about in the video. As you watch, I'd like you to identify at least 5 effects of the Lend Lease Act and be ready to discuss them when we zoom at our assigned time. In Canvas, I have shared with you World War II multi-flow map as a document. Please upload the actual map to Notability and complete the effects there. Once you have completed the map, please turn into Canvas. When we zoom together, we will share out some of the responses you all came up with. Thank you so much for watching, and please do reach out via Google Voice if you have any issues.
This was the situation facing the British in the early days of World War II, which prompted the signing of the Lend Lease Act between Great Britain and the United States. Here's how it went down. England had been fighting the Nazis since 1939, and it was running out of money to pay for the munitions it'd been buying from the United States. In December of 1940, England warned US President Franklin D. Roosevelt that it'd soon be bankrupt. Though the US was not yet involved in the war, President Roosevelt wanted to support England. However, he was bound by the Neutrality Act of 1939. This act allowed the US to sell arms to countries like England, but only on what was called a cash and carry basis. Any closer assistance was prohibited. In early January of 1941, FDR asked Congress if he could do things a little different. He wanted the power to lend and/or lease weapons to American allies. The act would authorize the president to sell, lend, or rent military hardware to any country deemed vital to national security. This was the Lend Lease Act, but not everybody was cool with the proposed legislation. Some Americans felt the act would give the president too much power, and there were plenty of isolationists in Congress who didn't want to get involved in that messy war over there in Europe. One of those isolationists was Ohio Senator Robert Taft, a Republican critic of many of Roosevelt's policies. Taft feared the act would, quote, give the president power to carry on a kind of undeclared war all over the world in which America would do everything except actually put soldiers in the front-line trenches where the fighting is. Taft wasn't wrong. That's exactly what the Lend Lease Act wanted to accomplish. Congress and the American public still weren't totally on board with going to war. So Lend Lease was a compromise, a way to fight in World War II without actually fighting. Officially, the US would still be neutral. The bill bounced around Congress for a couple of months before being signed that March. Though Lend Lease was initially designed to aid Great Britain, it was also used to supply China in April of '41 and the Soviet Union in September. By the war's end, over 36 countries had received help from the US to the tune of billions of dollars. The Lend Lease Act was signed on March 11, 1941. Exactly 9 months later, Japan attacked the naval base at Pearl Harbor, prompting the US to officially enter World War II. Though it would provide foreign aid to its allies, any ambiguity about the Americans' role in the war was gone.